Welcome everybody to this tutorial. Today we are gonna cover how to create an interface of something which with a very basic design. Accept two numbers from the interface from an activity, and then press a button, detect that the button is pressed, and then do some calculation and display the results. It's a very simple application which basically adds two numbers, and when the user presses a button, it reads the values in the text fields in which the numbers have been entered, and then when the user presses the button, it reads the values, performs the calculation, sums them up, and then shows the result in another label. And that's about it. It's a very simple application. What we're going to learn is how to connect with the interface controls from Java, from backend Java, and how to detect a button is pressed, and how to perform calculation, and how to change the values in the interface. So it's a very simple application. It's got only one activity, meaning only one page, and so it should teach us these very core and basic things about Android application development. I'll start from this file in new project. This is Android Studio I'm working on, and I'll give it name sum project because it sums two applications, company or domain name, com etc ace. It actually gives the package name. The package is this package in which you get to see your actual Java code, and what it does is by default Android reverses your package name. If I say this is the default domain name com etc.ace.ae, it reverses it and gives ae.ac.hcd.com dot your project name. So this package name is just a holder, like a folder under which your Java classes go. So I don't like this reversing because I'm used to of seeing the correct and straight names in this term. So I'll just remove that. I go to edit, and I've done that deleting, and I'll press this com.hct.ac, or maybe com.hct.some project is also sufficient. And this is just a holder, like a folder name. Com is a folder, hct is a subfolder, and some project will be a subfolder inside these folders. So it's like a hierarchy I'm creating, and this is the location it will be saved. Make sure you know where you're saving your projects. Save. The target device, is it a TV, wear, or phone and tablet? You just make sure you're selecting the latest version, or KitKat is generally stable, even though Lollipop is out there. And let's select 19, which is KitKat. This is the API level. As you increase the levels, you go to the latest levels, you increase the API levels. So KitKat is 19, Lollipop is Android 5.0, which is API level 21. So this means minimum SDK, meaning any Android device which has a version which is below this will not be able to run this application. So it's generally better to basically select 2 or 3 older versions to make sure your application will be compatible with as maximum devices as there are out there. So let's select for the time being Jelly Bean latest version. Okay, and I select next. And for now we'll be creating a blank activity, and we'll come to these different kinds of activities later on. Blank activity, next, and now you can give name to these activities itself. Gain name to these pages. It doesn't mean it will appear on that page, although you can also do that, but you can give different names to the pages, to the activity names, and the XML file. This is the activity name. You can give it a name. This is the XML file name. The user does not get to see this. This is the actual title which appears over here. So you can have a different title and a different activity name. It's up to you, the programmer. So I'll have, for example, a title called sum two numbers. Okay, and I can have a layout name which is not activity underscore main. It is my sum layout. So it's something like this. Okay, and then yeah, so this is one thing. Just have it a smaller layer, and then your activity name should be, can be anything else, but no space. Sum layout also, and if you like some activity, main resource name, this is menu resource name, yes. So we're not going to use this at the time, but let's leave it by default, whatever the value is coming. Finish, and it will now create a new project. It will take some time, a few seconds, allow it a few seconds to create a new project. Okay, when the application gets created, this is something which you would see. It's basically the interface, the view, the presentation of the activity just created. It is, as you see, blank for the most part, except that it's got this one hello world text over here written by default, and there is an XML version to it. You can see, you can switch to design and text from here, these two tabs. Basically it is an XML file, but it is changed on runtime to design, and you can actually use the tools over here to create the interface. But let's check the XML. It's basically defining only the very empty view which you see just now, and I've just pointed out there's a hello world text view over there, and the text is given over here as hello world. So I just clicked over here to change it as a string coming from the values file. What does this mean? It means the strings.xml file inside the values folder has strings that are then translated into the language your application is running in now. So let's say I'm running an ad. My current language is English. What this Android will do, it will see that I am using this text. The name is text. I can have different name over here. Android text. It can be hello or any other name, and I will basically use it over here in as hello world. So the value over here will be hello underscore world. So what is this? This one is actually a variable. I'm creating a variable. I'm not writing any hard coded string for this text variable. It's of type text. It's not image, it's not button, it's not input choice selection, for example ready button or the tick box, etc. It is a text type which I am selecting now, and its value is is based on string hello underscore world. So what the Android will do, it will go back to the strings.xml and it will check what is the value of hello underscore world. It will find out hello underscore world and pick the string over here and replace it with wherever you have this hello underscore world on. So let's see, I've used hello underscore world over here, hello underscore world, and but now you don't get to see hello underscore world, you get to see whatever is in the XML file as its value, hello world. So if you have Arabic, you'll have a values at -ar folder. Inside this there will be strings ar.xml, and then we will be showing, when we switch our locale to Arabic, it will basically show over here marhaba or whatever. So I am deleting this because I'm not gonna use this. So I'll be creating new labels over here. This is text view, and I'll give it some text. Enter number 1, and ID is num1 label or LBL, whatever you like, and then do that again just beneath it and give it text. Enter number 2, and ID should be num2 label, because I won't need to reference this in the code anyway, because the labels are not these labels I won't be changing. I will be just reading from the text, and I will be changing one label at the bottom, which is the result of the sum. And then in front of these each I will actually create a text box. So let's click on the text box, and you should be actually coming down and picking up a text box by number, and you can also change this later on if you like. So I'll just pick up the number over here and paste in front of the number 1, and then do that again in front of enter number 2, and you can drag this and bring this down in front of this second text box. So I've got two labels, two text boxes, and give it the IDs. The IDs are the variables names to which you reference them in the code again. ID should be num1txt. Update these as well. I've seen this can create some problems. It can hang your Android Studio. If it does happen to you, don't do the changes over from here. Go to the text and the edit text. You need to modify the edit text because this is the text box, and then just change its name. So I'm changing this from the ID. Remember, I was editing ID. At the rate plus ID means add an ID to my resources, and I'll change this from edit text to num1 txt, and do that again for this one, which is num2 txt. And I've got over here layout below. Yeah, I need to change because this name was edit text first. I'll change it to num1 txt, and this one also num1 txt. So what does this mean? I change the name from edit text to num1 txt so that I can reference this num1 txt in the code. And this guy over here, these two lines, layout below aligns start. What it was signifying is that start this edit text below this over here, this variable. So I have just given it the correct new name, num1 txt, num1 txt. Now automatically it should be doing when you do the changes over here, but the reason why that does not happen is my Android Studio hangs. So I stopped doing that. So now Android, this has some problem here. Okay, yeah. I also have to modify this. Align button should be num2 txt. So that's a lot of thing I need to changes over here to do the changes over here, just because of this hanging. I hope it is not hanging in front of you. You can, because you can do the changes over here directly. Just change its name ID, and it will change. Ask you to update references, you agree to update references. That's all. So now the other thing is I need to have one more label for the results. Let's pick one more label, small text over here, and let's keep it at the time being nothing or 0 if you like. So I'll keep it 0, and ID will be result, LBL, and a button. That's all I need. So yeah, that's the button I need to look at. Button, and then I would say calculate or whatever you like as sum up. So I'll say sum or calculate ID sum ptn. So I give it this variable, and that's all. So I've got my interface ready. When this button is clicked, something should happen. So now let's make sure you keep on saving your work. Some layout.xml I just saved. Let's go to Java, not the test one. This is Android test. This is for testing. We're not doing this now. Open your sum layout activity, and all the code at the moment we are going to write inside this method. On create. So the other two methods you can delete. What is a method, by the way? It starts with these lines: protected or public, void on create. This is the name of the method. This means it returns nothing, and this means this method can only be accessed from within this package. Any other class, any other Java file which is inside this package can access or open this on create. So just remember this for the time being. It starts with the curly brackets and finishes with the closing curly brackets. So if you come to the closing curly brackets, it will highlight and show you where I am starting from. It's starting from here, ending here. This curly bracket starting here, ending here. This curly bracket, just go and click near it. So it's starting here, ending here. Now we are not using on create options menu, options item selected. These are all unused right now, so I can just safely remove these two only, on create options menu, on our options selected, item selected. So I can create my all code goes inside on create only. So what's the on create activity? It gets created when I start an activity. Okay. Now I need to press enter below the set content view, and now I need to write steps what I'm going to do. First of all, I will create references to the activity interface components. So now you don't need to create the reference. This is for all the components. You need to create the references for only components you want to use. So go to the sum layout. I want to use this one because I will read the value. I want to use this one also in the code because I'll read the value what the user has entered in these two fields. I want to use this one, so I need this one in the code because I'll change its value. For example, the user has written 2 and 3, it will become 5, so I'll keep changing its value as long as the user keeps on entering sum. And I'll need this one also, so I'll need the references for 1, 2, 3 and 4 components on the labels. I will not need the values of the references of entry number 1 and entry number 2 labels because they don't impact my program that much. So let's go back to your program, create reference to the activity components that we need only. So I need the text box, so I'll first of all declare this, and I'll say edit text. So that it was edit text, give it a name, num1, because num1 txt is its name, so num1 will have the component's name, num1 component or num1 comp, whatever you like. So these are your liking, whatever you find easier, you can give them this name. So num1 comp is equal to, in these brackets, edit text. This is what I'll explain to you this line in a minute, and I'll say find view, and by the time you come on view, it should actually already automatically show you this. So you write this, select, come to the option, it is showing find, come down if needed, otherwise just press enter, and inside these brackets are .id. Remember when I did plus id and then num1 txt, it means add an id in the resource. R stands for resources, and give it name, and I gave it num1 txt, so I will say num1 txt. So I need the reference of num1 txt. What this does is finds the component on the view, on the activity, on the interface by its ID, and I gave it this ID, num1 txt. And now it got the component, the basic component, doesn't know what is the type of the component. So I say convert this to edit text. So I've got the edit text reference now, which is on the interface. It lives on the interface. I've got its reference. So I need to do it for the other also. Edit text num2 component is equal to edit text again, find view by id, r dot id dot num2 in this case. Now we got the second number, and then I need the result label. So I'll say text view is the label, and it will be num result or not num, so this result component is equal to, and in the brackets again, text view. What you save it as type, you have to give it the same type over here, because you need this guy to give you something and convert this to this type, so you can store it in this type. Again, this line is giving you some components reference, and you want to convert that components reference in edit text, so you can store it as an edit text type in this num2 variable. So text view, now find view by id r dot id dot results label, and then lastly the button should be button, I'll say some component is equal to button find view by id r dot id dot some button. So that completes my first part, and now it will give us these errors and it will be giving me these suggestions. Press alt enter, press alt enter. What does it mean? It means what is button? It cannot understand what kind of button, and it is also giving some suggestion. Accept that suggestion if it says android.widget.button. Yes, I need the Android's widget, which is button, and if you want that, press alt enter, it will automatically import it. What does it mean import? So you go at the top, you'll see it has imported many things over here. Whatever you are using in this program, it is importing it, and that's just a significance, it's a marking to tell that I am using this thing in my program. So I'm using edit text. You should see edit text is also here with the complete package name android.widget.text edit text. You're using text view, it has edit android.widget.text view. But since it has many buttons, there are buttons in swing, there are buttons in AWT, there are buttons in Android, so it is confused. So it is asking you all it's asking you is to indicate if it's Android widget button. If yes, then alt enter. So as soon as you do this alt enter, it adds android.widget.button over here, and it will stop complaining that I don't know what this is. So you've got the references, and then once you have the references, you need to do when the button is clicked, read the values. When does this happen? When the button is clicked, read the values, store the values in variables, and then perform calculation, and then display result in label. So you have to read the values inside the button, then perform calculation, display the results. So all of this should be uh, inside the button whenever the button is clicked. If it is clicked if you read the values before and when the button is clicked, maybe just before that user may have changed those values. So when the button is clicked, read the values again. So read the values when the button is clicked. Where is my button? This is my button, sum com. So what I need to do, sum com, write its name, dot set on click listener. What this method does, it will detect and identify. Now see, this is number one suggestion right now on me, on my Android. So if it is not there, just type set on, and then it should come as the first suggestion. Just you need to press enter over here, and new space V. If you press V, it will give you this suggestion, Android view.view. Said yes, I need to create this. Enter over here, and it will automatically write all these codes. It gets a little bit complicated if you write it by hand, so it will type it for you automatically. New view, but this is the code you need to write. View.onClickListener, meaning create a new view and do something inside it. So all my code, this code to detect that something has happened is going to go inside this. What does it mean? It will only come in this code when it has detected that the button has been clicked. So let me just write down over here, or just in front of this. This code will only be called when the button is clicked. So it will detect that the button is clicked, and it will come over here. Now I need to do two things inside this method, three things inside this method. read the values, do the calculation, and display the result. Let's do this. So let's have integer sum 1, and I'll say the value of sum1 is num1 components dot get text, whatever is inside it. It is returning me as not just text but as an editable. So dot get text. You see the editable over here. It means it's not giving me string. It's giving me an editable component. It's another component. Got text dot get text. Now you can do dot what do you call trim or toString. Let's do toString and then toString dot trim. So what I did was I converted this to a string first and also trimmed it at the sides if there are trailing and leading spaces or blank spaces, etc. Or maybe the user printed entered after it, pressed enter but nothing happened. Just give me a clean string. That's what it means. So I got this and I need to put this whole thing inside something which converts string into integer. I need something which converts the string value into integer because I need to add two numbers, which is a mathematical operation. So integer dot parse int converts a string into integer. So I'll copy this whole thing and paste it inside these two methods and paste semicolon at the end. This indicates the line is finished inside a method. So inside a method, if you've got lines, you need to have the semicolon to show that the line has been finished. So this guy converts the string to the integer, and let's do similar thing with sum2, and it should do integer dot parse int, do the same thing, num2 comp dot get text dot to string, and you can stop over here also, but to be on the safe side I'm writing to trim. Control space gives you suggestion. Control space, if you don't see suggestion automatically, press control space, you will get more suggestions from the editor. So now I have these two values which the user has printed out, entered. Next thing I need to do is to perform calculation. I'll say int result. So now I wrote these sum1 and sum2 as bad names. I should have given them num1 and num2 because this is my actual number, num1 num2, and then I'll say this time sum or result, whatever you like. In sum is num1 plus num2. That's where your calculation goes in, and in the end what you need to do is display the result. So you remember this is our result component. I need to display this inside it. So I'll say sum component dot set text and enter, and you should write over here sum. So this should complete the whole calculation exercise, and let me try if I can run this on an Android emulator, but there's no error over here, so it should run, and my program is not complete. Okay, so thank you very much for watching, and I hope you learned some basic things about connecting Android interface with its backend Java component and adding two numbers, reading the values the user has entered, keyed in, and displaying something on Android interface through programming. Thank you very much again for watching.